Tasty, tasty. Tasty, tasty.
Hey folks, I hope you're doing well. It's Friday and I'm streaming. I'm here at the workshop. So I'm going to stream for a couple of hours today, maybe till 2ish. It's 12 now. So it's not going to be a hugely long stream, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, let's catch up with chat. Eamon, thank you so much for lighting up my pink rocket ship. Thank you so much for that. I think there's a couple of other subs we'll catch up on as well. So Kevy Babes was first today. Hello everybody. So this is the Dold is here as well. I'm just going to kick my shoes off now. It's on my desk. Oh god, my grey hair showed up in the light then, didn't they? My beard. Getting old. Fillet of fish. This is a nice surprise for Friday. Yeah, I'm literally just making new email templates, which I know sounds really crap and boring, but it's something we have to do. Tasty. Fillet of fish, thank you so much for getting the pink rocket ship up and running. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. So this is just basically a cheeky little stream whilst I do that. One of the challenges that I've spoke about on stream before that I'm consciously aware of is that we do zero advertising. And we are the only vendors to not do any advertising. I get emails every week from every other vendor under the sun. So whilst I don't want to spam people, we've done 15 emails in 6 years. It's not enough. It's not the right way to run a business. So I've been thinking about fun ways that I can do that, and rather than just do shitty sales emails all the time, I actually want to try and do like a series of emails where it'll be every other week on a Wednesday, and it'll be like a guide to doing something. So I'm trying to build up things on the website that show guides. There's one on the minute there for Via, but there's a whole raft of other ones that I've already written that I just haven't taken photographs for. So what I'd like to do is like kind of like give the brief gist of that in the email and say, this is how you tune a switch, this is how you install stabilizers, this is how you solder, all these kinds of things, a million things. This is how you get Via to do macros or whatever it might be that week. And just send one out every couple of weeks and kind of like have like a guide and help people and say, if you want more information, here is the actual full guide, and people can go read it. That's kind of the plan. So that's sort of what I'm working on today. And then I kind of think we need to do a little bit more about group buys and awareness of them, because we don't really, so we can't post an MK UK about stuff like that constantly and things. So I think what we're going to do is like once a month have an email blast that says, this is all the group buys we've got running right now. Go have a look. So, and if they become onerous, then I will stop doing them. But that is the plan. Jehovah's here as well. So there's Moons of Empire. Good evening, guys. Good afternoon, guys. Even it's not evening yet. Captain Reed subscribed for 27 months. Let me get that light back up for you, Mr. Reed. The light is back on for Mr. Reed there. Thank you so much for 27 months of subs. I'm probably going to have a hangover hit me during the stream. I was out to 1 AM for a director retiring at work and still don't feel a hangover. You may be like me. You may not get hangovers. I just feel tired. So, yeah. Running Sushi. Hey man, thank you so much for being here. Reed still drunk? Maybe. Rue is here as well. JQ says time to crack open a cold one. Hair of the dog time? Yeah, maybe. Superhand says let's watch this. Aldesco. Nice. Nice racing hoodie. Yeah, it's I've got a few of these. This is I probably shouldn't show that brand on stream, but yeah. Can't believe marketing emails even work. I don't think I've ever read one on purpose. I think the thing is, like, whenever we look at what we are and aren't doing as PT, like, we don't really do posts on Instagram. We do stories, which are fine and get maybe 1,000 views a day. Maybe 2,000 on a weekend. But like, we don't do posts very often, and we don't, other than doing a ping in the Discord, we don't tell our customers about all the new stuff that's happening. And I do think we have a bit of a duty on us to do that. So I don't want to do it as sales emails. I fucking hate sales emails. I detest it, but I do need to build awareness sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. You absolutely get hangovers? Fair. I don't, but my hangover from your birthday and the PT birthday both hit me at like 2 PM. Okay, fair enough. I don't tend to get hangovers. I just tend to feel tired. The closest I've been to a hangover in recent memory was a few weeks ago when I did a little road trip around the UK, and I went to Newark, to Brighton, to Bristol, to some places in between Bristol and Brighton, and then to Shrewsbury, and I basically drank every single day, and it was not good for my liver or my health, but on the way back home, I stopped off to see a friend, Gemma, who's sometimes in chat, and had a quick catch up with her and a coffee. And I was really tired at that point, and that's the closest I've come to having a hangover. I didn't have a headache or anything. I think I was okay. I was quite lucky. Right. Okay. Let me figure out the best way to share what I'm doing with you. With a coffee. My brain hates me when I drink, and the pain is immeasurable. Fair. I am very lucky in the sense that I don't really get hangovers. Strictly the devil's lettuce. See, I don't touch that really. The odd gummy here and there is about all for me. Right, so if I do that, you should be able to see that. Let me just make sure you can see all of it. Why is that not letting me edit it? Okay, that's been a pain. It won't let me move it. I'm trying to move this window so you can see the whole width of my browser and move it across. It's just not letting me select it. Why is it not letting me do that? It's letting me select the chat box. It's not letting me select anything. Or is it because it's locked? Oh, it's because it's locked. Okay, there we go. Right, Idiot J. Let's see if I can center it a little bit better. There you go. So you should be able to see the entire width of my browser now because my hand goes off the other side. Cool. Right. Okay. Because one of the things I am doing at the moment is I'm actually 3D printing something. Let me see if I can share with you my 3D printer as well. Let me see if this is gonna. I might be able to even put like a little camera up of the stream, which was always fun. I used to do this years ago and have like the cameras. Where's the stream camera? Oh, sorry. If I. Okay, I might actually be able to do this, yeah. Okay, so if I then just drag that to here. This is something I'm literally playing around with this on live stream right now. And then if I add a new browser source, okay, and I want that to show you. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Ignore me. Ignore me. Let me try that again. Window capture is what I was looking for. That's that.
Incredible.
Okay, and then what I might be able to do is I might be able to add some padding to it. Hold on. Add some padding to it and then shrink the size down. So let's go to properties. Oh no, that's it. Let's go to filters. No, it's not filters. Transform, is it in transform? Where is this? Scale filtering, blending mode. No, don't need any of these. Why can I not find what I'm looking for here? I'm sure it's in filters. Add crop and pad. There we go. So left, let's just try 50. Let's try 100. There we go. Right, if we do 100. And then top if we do 500. And then bottom if we do 500. No. 70. 100. 150. 200. Okay, that's pretty close. And then we have a little 3D printer going in the bottom. Let's tuck that up into the top right somewhere. There we go. Right. Okay, so little history aside there, right? Let's catch up with chat because I've missed some of chat. I remember the time when cigarette brands used to sponsor and advertise on the F1. I remember JPS in particular. Yeah, I remember a lot of Formula One teams. Like this is kind of, I have a few of these hoodies. They all have cigarette brands on, which is probably something I shouldn't wear, but they're just reminiscent of a good time from Formula One. Oh, how do you LO? Running sushi. I'm not sure what you meant by that. But how do you LO? Yeah. Marlboro Red and Ferrari are integrated. Absolutely are. Benson and Hedges and Jordan F1. How do you like the Stratum 80? I met them at SMKX, but unfortunately I can't afford it right now. Dude, it hasn't left my desk since I built it the second time. It wasn't working the first time, but I just needed to clean some pins. I am tempted to put a Renji back on it because a Renji looked so good. But yeah, it's really the nicest Stratum. It's not left. Loads of F1 memorabilia. Yeah, nice. Testing in prod never goes wrong. You know, streams are one thing. Right, so what am I doing today? What have I been doing with my day? So I as I said, we don't send emails that often enough. So what I wanted to do was create some email templates. And not that one. Just get rid of that because I don't need that anymore. Right, so this is what I've been building. This is kind of like a template that the team can now use to create new emails. And luckily, there is like a WYSIWYG editor. I did try doing this in code, which was what was up before, but like it was a bit painful and it wasn't particularly easy to customize. Like the team would have needed to be able to be in the code to customize it, and that's not Sharon or Mel's forte. So what I wanted to do was create something that we could do in a email template that we can save to Shopify that anyone can then load up with our standard colors and logos and everything, and kind of like a brief description of what needs to go where. So this is kind of like going to be the kind of template that's going to be for guides and blog posts and stuff like that we're going to send out maybe every couple of weeks and help people to understand something new about keyboards. Maybe there's something they've never understood. Maybe it won't hit for some people, maybe it'll hit or resonate for other people. The idea is to keep it varied and keep doing different things and showcases, so it's kind of like having a headline statement. What are we trying to tell the customer in that particular one? Let's say it's lubricating stabilizers, for example, and then we can kind of like build it up with an opening paragraph that kind of sets that scene over a couple of sentences and add some context to that in a second paragraph, a little bit of a quote or something like that, and maybe a photo guide, and then the reasons why you might want to do it. So for example, lubing stabilizers, this is the benefits to doing it, so what it gives you, what it doesn't give you, what you might get over stock stabilizers, that kind of thing. And then like a button to where they can read more, and then of course like the little sales thing at the minute, go and have a look at everything in stock, and we can relabel everything. So this is kind of like what I am trying to build to kind of like help us share what we're doing. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes, but there's a few things that I've been working on and just trying to build from this perspective. I think we're going to start sending these out from tomorrow. Anyway, that's the first template. I do need to rename this. So this is I'm going to call them, because I plan to send these out on like a Wednesday, because a Wednesday is a good day for me. What's a good name for these? Wednesday's today, I learned. Let's call it that. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if I can actually create multiple templates this way. Let me go and have a look at my templates now. So this is because I'm such a noob and stuff. Oh shit, the discount's on. Okay, let me turn the discount on because I don't think that's actually turned on right now. But it is coming up with the thing. Let me just set that going until I finish streaming. Wait, what date are we on? 17th. Okay. I was going to turn that off. Okay, the discount is live. So if you did want to get it, Wednesday Roundups is a great name actually. Let me see if I can save multiple from the same one, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to edit this one for the kind of updates email I want to send out. My templates. Oh yeah, okay. So I have 2 now. So it saved it twice because I did it twice. Yeah, Wednesday Roundups is a great name. Let me see if I can rename that. Oh, I can duplicate them in here as well. Okay. Okay, so actually I can probably show you this. So they've saved them here as 2. So what I can do is now I can go into this one and then I can save it, rename it as Wednesday Roundups. I mean, it's not really a roundup though, is it? No, I think that Today I Learned is better because the other one is going to be, yeah, I think that's right. And then I saved the duplicate of it, which is here, which this is the one we're going to rename. This is going to be the monthly roundup. I think that this one fits with roundup more. At least if your J streaming feature is working. Wait, what do you mean by J streaming feature? You mean the 3D printer? Oh, is it stopped? Oh yeah, it's not updated. Do you know why? It's because the browser's not in context, I think. Oh, streaming session expired. There we go. How long does that last? Does that have to remain in context? Okay, I'm just going to turn that off because like it doesn't want to do it. It's stopped again. Oh, it's turned off automatically anyway. Yeah. Okay. Right, let me turn the heating off. Oh, it's already off. It's getting a little bit warm in here. So yeah, so the kind of like the monthly roundup ones, I kind of want these to. So I'm going to kind of like tweak this email content now. This is going to be group buys. And then we're going to have a preamble about the current live group buys and what closes soon. And then what we can do is we can delete that because I don't need that, and we can delete that. But what we can do now is with the WYSIWYG editor, we can actually bring in like a product. So it's not really going to matter what products it puts here. It's just going to pick anything from the website. I'll just pick random ones. But then what I can do is, in fact, that's going to be live group buys. And then we can just change these. So I can literally just click on these, and then somewhere I can select a collection, and then we can select the live group buys from the selection, and it should just bring the live group buys across, and we can then change however many we want it to show, and we can edit text live in the email as well, I believe. Is that gonna work? Okay, anyway, that should pull that through. I'm sure we can change what's shown on here. Yeah, and I'm sure we can edit these. I thought we could overtype those. Maybe I'm wrong. Neodoid, hey man, good to see you. At least you're J streaming. Oh, I see what you mean, Moons. Yes, yeah, like it knows to tell me like the code. I haven't built the rest of the automation. That's like in this afternoon job, so I will have a look at that. Yeah, the code surprised me because it worked it. Yeah. What you see is what you get. It's such a good acronym. We should use it more. Yeah, WYSIWYG is a great one. I do really like it. So I wonder if I can only change them if they're static ones. And then if I add a product, let's just add what's in group buy right now. The Orky stuff. Let's play around with this and figure out. So that's a new group buy. Let's add that and let's see if we can edit it. Oh, okay. So if I only add one, let's add another one. Let's add 2. How does that then show? Does it show them Okay, so it shows them one after the other. That's not quite what I want, but I can probably do that. And then we won't want the description. Okay, these are the ones I can type over. Okay, so yeah, okay. So as long as we don't do a dynamic one, as long as we do a static one, we can edit them. And I think we should be able to edit the pictures as well. Yeah, okay. So then I can just change the picture to something that's a little bit more aesthetic. Okay, cool. Okay. Now the other thing I need to do here is just change the button color to our standard green. Boom. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Stretch goals unlocked for Chocolatier R2. Can't wait for extras. Yeah, go do a buy because that closes. If you haven't already and you want Chocolatier R2, it closes today, I think. I think today is the last day, is it? Oh, it tells me to close. Let me update that really quickly. Products. Because I think we have to submit numbers tonight. Let me just update this. So I have metadata in the background. I can't show you this because like there's too much to get to it. But there's oh, it was set to the wrong 12. That's why. There we go. It was set to today, but it was set to 12 noon to expire. So it literally would have changed 24 minutes ago. So if I refresh that now, there you go. You've got 10 hours left to join. Yeah, so we have metadata that controls the countdown timer. It's just a single date entry thing, like a pick from a calendar, but it's useful to have. But yeah, UK ISO in base, what's not to love? I should have sold my personal set of this before R2 came out, but I didn't. So yeah, there you go. But these are the stretch goals. I think they've both been unlocked now, the blue keys, which I know a few people were interested in. Okay, so we've... Oh, don't tell me that didn't save. Oh, it did save. Right, okay. So now we've got the products in here. We can have that as many products as we want, I think. So we're going to bring in the live group buys and talk about the live group buys. The next thing to do is to bring in the pre-orders because we always have new pre-orders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to duplicate that and drop it down underneath that and call it live pre-orders. And then we don't need this. 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 In fact, we're going to duplicate that button twice. So we've got two of it. And we're going to drag one to here. Just above that. And then this is going to be see all our live group buys. I wonder if I can add the metadata into here. I wonder if it'll let me add the metadata in for the end date, actually. That would be really cool. Why can I not do that? Where would that be? See, this is where you're limited. I suspect it's going to be in description, right? So if we undo the description, it's going to bring it through. Yeah, okay. Neodoid says, you mentioned it in the Discord chat, you think the hobby is in a transition period. Could you explain more about that, please? Thought I'd wait until the Sunday stream to ask you, but I got lucky here. Yeah, so I think the hobby really is transitioning. That it's fractioning up into a number of distinct parts, and vendors are going to have to make a decision very quickly down which route they want to go down. When I first joined the hobby, it was really small. There was no kind of custom mechanical keyboards as products. It was all very small group buys made by people in their workshops and garages and in their spare time. And about 2015, 2016, we started to see companies like Novel Keys come out where they were starting to do. And Novel Keys' first product was just a switch tester, and they're kind of Novel Keys is probably the first of what I would call them modern vendors. There were a few before, like Type Machina, which used to be called Originative or Oko, and there was like a couple of others, but none of them ever really did it properly as like a full-time endeavor. Novel Keys were kind of like the first, I think, in my head. There was a couple of people in China doing it, and a couple of people in Korea, but kind of like the real first true vendor is what we have as vendors today that set the bar was Novel Keys, and or maybe Input Club. Maybe, in fact, actually no, it's probably Input Club, which then became Kono. I would say it was Input Club actually. Input Club then, which then became Kono later on, and kind of Novel Keys. And the idea was that they were doing what we still do today. They were creating these small batches like the Stratum 80 of keyboards that were high end and stuff like that. And then other vendors came along over time. You had the Keycords, the Ramas, and all of that kind of stuff, and then the prototypists and things. But all of the projects were basically homebrew. If you want to have like a software equivalent, they were all basically homebrew, and people designing stuff at home and then selling it as a product. But there was no real product of design. There was no SKUs, there was no SKUs, unique product identifier. There was no such thing as barcoding everything. People were just making things and then assembling them and then shipping them, and it was very much a hobbyist kind of take on it. And then companies like GMK started doing the group buys around 2015, 2016, and Drop became quite big in the community at that point as well. But Drop wasn't really a vendor. They were kind of something different. I don't really have a good word for what they were in the start, but they were more of a collective. And over time, that shifted. You now have companies like Wormier and Aula and Lowfree who are creating thousands of keyboards that they create as a specific packaged product that they then sell to many different vendors around the world. So and over time, some vendors have kind of dabbled in those kind of boards and in the group buy stuff, and some have been just kind of like vendors for group buys and for high-end products and things like that, and others have kind of like just gone down the pre-packaged, almost drop shipping type approach. And where companies like Neo right now are is they're actively transitioning away from doing bare bones and kits to only doing pre-builds, and they are changing all of the rules on how vendors interact with them. Like, we've had a lot of back and forth over the past couple of months with them about how to handle this and how it's going to work, and MOQs and what they're increasing the prices of and how many they want me to buy, and the contracts that we had originally aren't being honored and things are changing, and they're wanting us to do more volume. There's basically a push with the QK Neo to just sell as much as possible, irrespective of what the community actually wants, and it's kind of like a direction away from where I want to be, which is why we don't sell like Aula or Keychron or anything other than like that. So there's like these kind of like pre-packaged products which are traditional style products. They are ready to be bought in bulk, they're manufactured in bulk, and they're ready to sit on the shelf in bulk at a cheaper price point that everyone can buy. And I think all vendors are now going to be in a position where they have to choose which direction do they want to do. Do they want to go for that bulk pre-packaged kind of option and make a couple of quid per keyboard but try and sell a shit ton of them? Or do they actually want to sit down and heavily work and invest in the design and things like that, and do smaller runs, tighter runs of more bespoke products that are designed by a designer about a specific need or a specific problem or a specific community demand or something like that? And I think there's less and less space for that kind of second part of the hobby. That's what's declining massively. More and more people are into custom keyboards, but almost everyone right now wants a pre-built with keycaps on and switches installed and stabilizers that come tuned, which are often crap anyway. That's what most people want, and they want that for under 100 quid. They want it for $99. So it's kind of being fractured into two main markets, and I think that vendors are going to have to start to really pick and choose which one to go down. I don't think you'll be able to do both as easily as you have been going forwards, and you're going to have to really make a pick of choice and make a stand on which side you want to go down. Even GMK, to an extent, is becoming more of this pre-packaged stuff. Like, we've got a drop coming at the end of this month that was completely done to be in stock and it hasn't been announced anywhere officially. No one really knows about it. There's been no advertising about it, but it's going to just drop in stock. And we've done that a few times with a few other sets. So, you know, it really depends on what you want to serve, how you want to serve customer bases. That's the choice you've got to make. You can either serve the masses, or you can serve the the distinctive crowd who wants to make conscious choices. And that's kind of the fracturing I see. I hope that helps, Neodoid. But please do ask questions if you think. Hey Jay, is there any ways, pretty please, we can combine the Stratum keyboard with the solder PCB in one order box at all? It hurts to pay £130 in shipping. So if you order it, we'll refund the shipping if we can do that. But I don't know what the packaging looks like at the minute, Eamon. So we've been told that they will need to be shipped separately and in a separate box. And even if we put the two shipping boxes in one bigger box, it's then volumetrically it's going to cost more to ship. But if you pay 130 quid, because I know you're not in the UK, and it only then costs us 30 quid to ship it, we will then refund you 100 quid when it comes time to ship it. So please don't worry about that. I know it's an upfront cost, but you will get it refunded if it comes to it. The stretch goals will reach for chocolatier. Yeah, glad you put an order in them. Thank you for helping to get to it. I did estimate it. I know you did. I know, and we never sorted it out. But anyway, it's there if you want it. If you don't want to wait for the group buy, it's there if you want it. Crazy time for a J stream. Yeah, I just wanted to do some stuff. So, yeah. The V1 set had the code keys in the base for the super keys instead of just novelties. As Moon says, this is where you go wing keyless. Yeah. I have an excuse to get a wing keyboard. I love the look of wing keyless, but I use a super key so much that it seems more practical to just have it there. Split right shift instead and do it on split right shift. Hearing this makes me age. Yeah, I know, right? Oko gatekeeping the good colorways. I think there is some movement on that within policy at GMK. I don't know. I haven't spoken to them about it, but I've been part of some conversations where some things are changing with how GMK is approaching historic group buys. A lot of audio collabs back then. Shitty Kickstarter was Massdrop. Yeah, I mean, Massdrop was basically trying to do audio and keyboards and pens and a million hobbies all at the same time. And I think they lost kind of focus. Yanbo, I don't know if Yanbo is still there at Corsair anymore, but he was kind of like the keyboard guy that I was good friends with at the time. Interesting times. I got an order. I had an order for an extra PCB in the Neo 8 TCU in batch 10 when it was still open. Are those still coming, or is it just a wait and see situation? Yeah, those are still coming, as far as I know. Everything that we've, if we haven't already reached out to customers about something that's changed with QK, your order's in basically. But things are changing with QK. I think there are things that can mix both. I feel like the Bauer 65 Lite is an example. Yeah, there will always be crossover products, Manu, I do agree. I just think you need to start to think about, as a vendor, which audience you're catering for. It's not necessarily about the product, it's about which audience you're catering for, and then that will determine what products you're looking at to sell as a vendor. And it will be really difficult to manage that message for both. For example, if you wanted to go down the Eula Wormier low-free Keychron kind of route, you are going to absolutely have to have a marketing team to manage all of the Facebook ads and Discord ads and Instagram ads and email blasts that you're going to have to do. Whereas if it's more of a curated group by high-end focused, people will find you more naturally, which is what we've always relied on. So yeah. Thanks, that was really informative. Could be an interesting topic for your next blog. I have about 1,000 blogs that I write that I don't hit publish on. Manu, yeah, let's set it up. We can have a stream where we can talk about it. Me, you, and Bowl, we should. Do you know what? I had this stream a couple of weeks ago, where I was chatting with Brian from Top Clack, and we decided we were going to bring back the Top Clack brand. Only Brian didn't want to be involved anymore because he's not into keyboards anymore, and It was me and Bowl, and it was someone else, but I can't remember who it was. Like, this has just come to me. Like, I've completely forgotten I'd had this stream until just now, but it was me and Bowl, and it was someone else, and I can't think who the other person was. But we brought Top Clack back and did all the kind of like group buy reviews. I wonder if maybe if we did like a foursome and we got someone really controversial in Manu, that would be quite fun. Mikey, hey man, good to see you. Have you made a decision around Manta yet? Yeah, I've just literally paid for air shipping this morning, but I haven't updated Notion yet. Sheraton will cry when Darkscale and Daltryborn run. It will end the $500 resale market for R1 sets. If anyone wants to buy Darkscale for $500, it is over there somewhere. Please let me know. You need 2 teams in a vendor if you want both markets. Yeah, I agree. Not the crime, but the availability. Yeah, availability is a difficult one. If we could put every single GMK set in stock that has ever run, and it was all sat in stock, ready to ship, no one would buy GMK. Like, the sales would just drop off because and this is what my recent blog post was. If you haven't seen this, I kind of wrote like a little a blog about me being an absolute idiot the other day. So this is it here. I'll drop a link in chat if anyone wants to read it. But effectively, I was doing the numbers for DCS Olivetti, and I talk about how FOMO drives a lot of things, and then how I just fall and succumb to it. And so if you want me to read this out, let me know. I will read it out, and I will. Wait. Oh yeah, there we go. I will read it if you want me to, but yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. As a customer, just the amount of products available now is somewhat overwhelming. Where it used to be get this else you've missed it, to something 95% list will probably be around in a few weeks. Yeah, okay. So I do talk about that in here. I literally say right in the very opening paragraph, there's a moment in every group buy where you look at the numbers and feel like a genius. The interest form has 4,000 million responses. Discord is vibrating so hard your phone sounds like your missus' handbag. Reddit threads are full of people posting "shut up and take my money" under renders that haven't even had physical samples yet. You sit back, crack your knuckles, and think, this one is going to fly off the shelves. And then it doesn't. Not during the group buy, mind you. The group buy goes fine. People commit, money changes hands, the dopamine flows. No. The problem arrives later, months later, when you've confidently ordered a generous amount of extras, because surely all those interest form respondents will come flooding in when it's finally there, ready to ship, no waiting, no gamble. The group buy sales told you that, right? Except they don't. They've moved on and left you standing in a warehouse surrounded by boxes doing the kind of math that makes your accountant quietly update their CV whilst loading a gun and trying to get behind you without you noticing. So I talk about it here a little bit further on. The gap between I want this and I'll buy this right now today with actual money from my actual bank account is not a gap, it's a chasm. It's the Grand Bloody Canyon. It's the difference between Everest and Olympus Mons. And at the bottom of it is a pile of unsold inventory and the shattered remains of that amazing spreadsheet cash flow forecast, mixed in with a little bit of dignity I have left. You know, it's easy to skip a product now and move on to the next thing because there are so many, and because there is so many products, it does dilute the market significantly. It's like having a glass full of cordial, dilute juice, and then all of a sudden having 10 glasses, but you've only got the same cordial, which is the number of buyers, and you've got to distribute that across all 10 glasses. They're going to end up being weaker drinks overall, right? And then something good, unique comes around, it costs 600 quid. Yeah, but that's the price you pay for smaller exclusivity bespoke runs, right? There is no economies of scale, because if you did economies of scale, you'd be doing what QK Neo, Wormier, Eula, Low Free Keychrono do. You'd be making things massively in bulk to create lower prices. So smaller run things are always going to be more expensive. We still need to have that meeting with Bowl. Yeah, we do. I just go for the stuff I love at Group Buy, and everything else I'll find on Mech Market. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I talked about this yesterday, but closed stream after now because I got tired of talking. I was only towards the second point. I think it's an amazing article. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I often have terrible thoughts and terrible ideas, but sometimes, every now and again, I think I can write something that's kind of hits nail on the head a little bit, but it's very rare. And as I say, I do have, and I can't show you unfortunately, but there's like on Shopify, there's like a content section where you can put meta objects and things like that. But one of the things that you can put there is blog posts, which is where all ours are hosted. And for every one that's visible on the website, there's probably 12 or 13 that are hidden. And those hidden ones are the ones that I've written and then thought I better not publish that for whatever reason. A, because I'll upset someone, or B, because I think that I'm being an idiot. C, people will laugh at me, or D, it will stop people shopping with us. And yeah, that's the thing. Did you just put Neo in the same category as Ayula? Subsequently into my Neo 75? No. So that what I meant by that, Basil, is Neo are changing their operating model. So this kind of transition period that I talked about before when Neodoid brought it up was where people and vendors are having to choose now whether they're going to go for the pre-built market at a cheap price point where it works out of the box versus the bare bones or custom bespoke end where you buy something, assemble it, and build it up, which kind of has a wider range but is more complex. Neo used to do a little bit of both. They started off on that kind of like open side where it was bare bones type kits, and they've slowly started to dabble in doing pre-builts. They started with it late last year, and now they're fully transitioning into the pre-builts. So they have made this decision for them, and they have made it because they think that going down the pre-built route will lead to significantly more sales, and it probably will do. That's just part of it. There is an argument that you could make, and maybe this is another article I need to write on, if you buy a pre-built, is it a custom keyboard, or is it only custom if you build it yourself? You know, because I think there's a difference between a custom keyboard and a customized keyboard. If you've just bought a pre-built and then changed the keycaps, I don't think that's a custom keyboard anymore. I think that's a pre-built with new keycaps. I think that's customized. Whereas if you are buying a keyboard kit and you are picking the weight and the top case and the bar and the plate material and the PCB type and the switches and the keycaps and assembling it yourself, I think that becomes a custom keyboard. But I think 10 years ago this question didn't even exist. It was either you were buying a retail product from Dell or whatever, and it was a keyboard that was, you know, a rubber dome probably, or you're buying something vintage, or you were buying a custom keyboard. And I think there is now that differentiation is now changing, and this is what I mean about the market fragmenting and changing, and where vendors are going to need to make specific decisions on how they're going. Feel daring to post that already. I mean, I'm not saying that that's necessarily my belief, but I think that there is absolutely an argument to be made there. There is an argument to be made that Topra is just a posh, you know, version of Rubber Dome. There is an argument there that you could say that it's not technically mechanical as well, because there's no good definition of what a mechanical keyboard is. So I think there's a lot of interesting conversations that you could have around definitions of words, and it all depends on how you define them, and not even as you as an individual, how the community defines those words can change how you discuss them and how they are interacting. But I do think buying a Keychron, it's not really a custom keyboard. I think there's brands like Wooting that kind of straddle the line between the two. But you're just if you're buying a product and plugging it in and working with it, it's a product off a shelf. It's not custom. It's a retail product at that point. So if you I mean, you could probably define it even further than that. You could probably say if you buy a package, a keyboard that becomes pre-packaged, pre-sealed in a box with a barcode on the back, you know, and it's sold in more than 1,000 units, it's technically a retail product rather than a customized bespoke product. So it really depends on where you want to go. So yeah, said the LSU has gone away before I managed to convince myself to buy it, but I guess that's the point of making FOMO. I think the thing is, products will always be changing, so you have to either buy stuff when it's there or wait for the next thing. And if you're waiting for the next thing, that's fine. There will always be something new. So yeah. Quick question as well before I dash to Salt Lunch. Did the constant feet replacements come with the latest shipment? Dying to put the board together. Pass, not sure. I will get... Sharon manages that for us, JQ. She's off on holiday at the minute. She's taking the whole month off. So... don't know. Yeah, I'll figure out for you. If you need an official update, drop us an email, JQ. I'm so posh. Yeah, I cries in his Seneca, right? What is PEI plate material? Is it plastic like PP, PC, FR4 like? So PEI is plastic, also sometimes called Ultem. It is a plastic, and it often has like an orange coppery-ish tint to it. In fact, most of the time it does, because it's really difficult to dye it any other color. It's an interesting material. I personally don't think it's amazing for plates. It's basically no different from. It's kind of like a cross between POM and polycarbonate and a plate material, which means it's fine and it's great for some people. But I like plates that have a bit of clack to them, so aluminium and carbon fiber are my kind of go-tos. But yeah, I think it's fine as a material. It depends on what you like, though. It's probably closer to PC. It's not like polypropylene that's really soft. It's somewhere between POM and PC, I think, in my head. If I buy a pre-built and I scratch it, is it now customized? If you're scratching a design into it, yeah. So, like, I mean, yeah, okay. So if I hide this, let me grab a keyboard and show you something. So you mentioned scratching stuff into a keyboard. This is a keyboard that I have. This is an old TX keyboard. I can't remember the exact model number. It's an old TX keyboard. And you will notice that it has had a lot of scratch marks put into it to create a pattern. These are 3D. You can kind of physically feel them and touch them. It's been fully etched to an insane level of detail. By hand. This isn't laser engraved or anything. This is all done by hand, and it's all about the goddess Athena. Sadly, I am going to have to sell this because even though it is a work of art. Now, originally this was just an anodized top case and bottom case, and this has all been done by hand. This whole thing has been done by hand. You can see if I get the light just right where the black dye in the ink hasn't filled all of the gaps, but it is full of hand etched Spartan soldiers and Greek warriors and the goddess Athena there in the middle. It's an amazing piece of artwork. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, you could argue that this is a customized keyboard, and if you'd done that to, say, I don't know, a Keychron, it would be highly customized. I mean, this was one of the old Korean customers. This board's probably 10 years old now anyway, because it's a TX keyboard. I don't think TX have done much for a few years, but certainly not in the keyboard space. So yeah, so maybe you could make that argument, Rue. P color, it is P color. Holy fucking moly macaroni. Why do you have to sell it? I need to sell it because I am hoping to move house, and I spent a small fortune on this, and it is absolutely a work of art. And the switches in it are some of the nicest Vince I've ever had as well. But yeah, I do need to sell it. So this isn't Benzia. No, this is Apsuni. You can find him on Instagram. This was the first keyboard that I know of in the community that was ever hand engraved like this. There's been a few since, but this is absolutely. This was done in 2017, I think, and I've owned the board since 2019. I think the board is I think the board was finished in 2018. It's commissioned in 2017, finished in 2018, and I've owned it since 2019. So yeah, but it's an insane piece of artwork. But yeah, I need effectively I need the cash to be able to move house, so I am going to be selling a lot of stuff. If anyone wants to buy a big black American GMC pickup truck as well, I have one here in my workshop that is for sale, because I genuinely need the cash to be able to build a workshop if we manage to buy this house we want to buy. So yeah. That's a crazy keyboard. Thanks, Violet. It is amazing. I don't ever have it out on display because I'm scared of damaging it. But it's amazing. If you like Greek mythology and stuff like that, it's perfect for you. That's posh scratching. Is that like a pork scratching? I don't know if you've ever had those, Rue. I don't know if you've ever had those. Yeah, if you are interested, Manu, it's not going to be cheap, but you are free to make me an offer. It's gonna need a few zeros on it, but yeah. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on that, and I do think vendors gonna need to start to figure out where they want to be, and I think the other thing as well, which is what I've done here at PT for the past couple of years, I've tried to really curate our why have I done that? the products that we're selling. I say no to so many products now. Like it's literally 20 a week that we probably say no to, because I want to really curate what we're offering. I don't want to offer everything because I don't want to be Amazon for keyboards. Like, that's just not doable, and I'd need someone to give me a couple of million quid to invest in the stock to do that, and I don't want to go down that whole route. I've never needed finance for PT, and I don't want PT to ever have any finance or debt. Like, that's just not where I want to take a business. If I wanted to grow, absolutely I would. I'd go get a big bank loan and or the company would, and we'd throw it into marketing and whatever else. But that's not the way I want to run a company, I don't think. Well, not this type of company anyway. So yeah, so you just need to start making decisions of what you're going to focus on. And this is why I brought up the J. Like, if you go on the website now, I'll show you. You can see Jay's favorites. So this is everything that we have in stock that I personally own. This is stuff that I've gone out of my way to buy, and it kind of just shows you what someone who is heavily involved in the hobby curates as part of their collection, and I hope that helps people. It actually gets very, very few views. There's this. I think it gets like 1,000 views a month, which is tiny because we get 20,000 views a day or something. But yeah. Intros are so nice. Yeah. The Key Geek intro switches are fantastic. I have them in. Where did I put them in? Oh, they're in the stratum right now. They are literally in the stratum right now, and it sounds amazing. Might be a wild take, but I don't see a point why most of the boards are made nowadays. Framed. Explain more what you mean by that. Do you mean why so many group buys actually happen? Do you feel like there isn't demand enough there for most of the products? Is that what you're trying to say? Because I have my own thoughts on that. I think, like I said before, I'm going to assume that that's what you meant, framed. Like I said before, the kind of the whole hobby is kind of fractured into two parts. The kind of pre-built side where people want everything, for 99 quid, and that's it. And then the custom side where people want bespoke things in low numbers. Most of them have the same product all over again. I think that if you take any high-end brand, because that's what we're talking about now, when you go to the bespoke side of custom keyboards, you are talking about high-end products like the Stratum. It's 500-600 quid depending on the options. It's expensive, and at the heart of it, it's just a TKL, right? It's a TKL. There are a million TKLs. You can get a Neo 80 TKL for 130 quid, right? Why would this one be any more money? And I think if you take a look at any particular thing, like I could go buy a Casio watch or a Seiko watch for 100 quid, but I can also go out and buy an Amiga for, this was a wedding gift. I didn't buy this. This was a wedding gift of my wife for a few £1,000s. Does Amiga and Rolex and everything else need to exist when you can go buy an analog, Seiko watch or Swatch watch for 100 quid and be done with it? And I think that many of the products should be allowed to exist, but they should be able to exist on their own merit. That means if they fail at group buy, it shows that there is no demand for it, and we should stop buying stuff out. And this is kind of what the article I wrote touches on. That vendors often fall into this pit of, we came so close to the MOQ, we should just buy it out. Is that the right decision? I don't think it is a lot of the time. And there's times when I still do it and I can't listen to my own advice because I'm shit and I'm terrible and I'm a hypocrite when it comes to it. I am absolutely a hypocrite. I'm telling you these are all the red flags, especially if there's any other vendors watching, and I walk straight past them. I literally say that in that. I walk straight past all these red flags. But there is a... How best to put this? There is each product needs to be able to stand on its own merits, and that means it needs to be able to find its own market. And I think the issue that I have right now is I think a lot of these products do deserve that and should have that opportunity, but I'm not going and singing about that enough to the community, which is kind of why I'm creating these emails templates, because then I can say, look, this might be a 500 quid keyboard. It's not for everyone, but just so you know, it exists. and it might be for you. And I think that's what's kind of missing in the hobby right now. Omega, not Amiga. I'm from the UK, Chaos. Like it's just how I pronounce it. I'm sorry, but you can correct me if you like. That's fine. Wait until I say Porsche and everyone says it's Porsche. It's not Porsche. But yeah, there is a lot of duplication in products, and the other side of this, which is a real challenge, is sometimes lead vendors will say, if you want to be part of this project, you have to commit right now before you've even sold one to X. So let's say, that wasn't the case for the Stratum 80, but let's say Novel Keys had come to me, and they didn't. This is me making this up, just to don't say this is the story and then go tell someone else this is the story, because it's not. I'm making this up. But let's say Novel Keys came to me and said, Jay, would you like to sell the Stratum? And I said, yeah, I'd love to sell it. And they said, great. Just so you know, in advance, you need to buy 50 units. You need to commit to 50 units before we even sell a single one in group buy. 50 units is a lot for the UK market. There's only maybe 3,000 people, 4,000 people in the UK who are into custom keyboards. There's not a huge number. There's a few people who are on the fence who buy the odd thing here and there, and there's maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people who are actively interested in custom keyboards and would look at this and think, maybe. Of those, maybe 1% is actually going to take a look at the product page, and maybe 1% of that 1% is actually going to hit the buy button. So then you have this whole point of, well, can I even commit to that? Because that's a lot of money. Let's say this sells for 500 quid. It probably costs us 450 quid to buy it. We make 50 quid a unit at best. That's genuinely the sort of margins we're looking at here, 10% or less. So on £500 board, we're making 50 quid. By the time we've packed it, QC'd it, paid for warehouse space, we're making the cost of a cup of coffee over for it, right? It's so slim at the margins. And you've got to go, right, well, is that going to be worthwhile for me? What if they don't ever sell? And it makes it really tough. It makes it really, really tough. I know, but maybe someone will get confused why you want to buy a computer. Maybe. Omega. I will try and pronounce it like I will try and do Leviosa. Right, I'll try and do that every time I say it now. Mikey Digit, do you think? Okay, I've read my eyes flick through this. Yeah, I do. Do you think that some products don't sell well as extras might be due to the designer not giving the product enough attention after the group buy? I mean, since it's already sold, they don't care anymore. I'd like to know your opinion because I don't think it's always the vendor's fault. Okay. Yes. So I had a whole paragraph in my blog that I dropped yesterday about this exact issue, and I deleted it because I didn't want to upset anyone. I didn't want to pick on anyone in particular, and I didn't want to upset any of the vendors and designers I work with on a regular basis because it is controversial. But you are absolutely correct, and you have hit the nail on the head with something here. So one of the things that tends to happen is you will have a designer who will come up with, let's say, a keycap set. Let's say they come up with a new keycap set called McLaren. I'm saying McLaren because I have the McLaren F1 car here, right? They've designed GMK McLaren, okay? And that designer will post a few renders on Instagram. They'll post up an IC on Geek Hack. They'll post up a group buy thread. They'll get vendors on board. They'll build up some hype. It'll sell 250 units in the group buy. The vendors will agree to buy another 250 units between them. Everyone buys 100% extras. Then the set goes into production, and the designer says, "Give me my royalties." So we pay the designer the royalties, and then that's it. You get the set 6 months down the line. You ship out the group buy orders. You put it in stock. You put an Instagram post up, and you send out a single email blast, and no one buys it. And the designer has then at that point basically said, well, I've been paid, I've done my job. And I think one of the things that designers don't realize is that their product is their product. If they've designed it, they are responsible for making sure that vendors sell through. And one of the things that we've started to build in, especially with new designers, is part of the contract is that you historically used to pay all royalties as soon as production was started or finished, depending on the designer, for everything. What we do now is we'll say, right, you can have the royalties for the group buy sales here as soon as production starts, and we paid GMK for it. But then royalties on the extras, you only get those royalties once we've sold through. Or we can do if they don't sell through immediately, we can do we'll say every 6 months we'll do a calculation on what has sold in that 6 month period at what prices. Here's your cut. and that does sometimes help. There's some designers who are absolutely fantastic at constantly promoting their older sets, and no pun intended, for example, springs to mind. He's really, really good at saying, oh look, he, such and such a vendor still has this in stock, and Prussian blue is still available, and that's great. There's other designers, and I'm not going to name anyone because it wouldn't be fair to them, who see that as soon as they've been paid out, their job is done, and they don't see the need to promote anything ever again. And that really hurts vendors, because we've got sets like that where we've got it sat on the shelves, and we can only do so much to promote it. Like if I put an Instagram post up for every single product we've got in stock right now, it would take me over. We've got more than 365 products. If I did one per day, we would never put up an Instagram post for every single product. We just couldn't do it, because there's 1,000 products in stock at least. I think when we did a SKU count a couple of whiles ago, and SKUs can be very misleading because there can be like multiples for the same product, like 3 desk mats for one set, for example. I think when we did a SKU count, it was over 12,000 in stock SKUs that are literally sat on the shelf right now, ready for someone to click buy. So it becomes really, really difficult to start to do that. Are you going to clip it if I say it again, Rue? Is that what you want to do? But yeah, Mikey, it's spot on observation. Yeah. Sales are not just the vendor's responsibility. Sales are the designer's responsibility as well, especially if they're getting paid up. Quesadilla, no quesadilla, A up. Okay, I'm not sure. A problem I've seen with dead stock is parts, partial kits, etc. that can't be sold because you're missing the main keyboard, the keycap base, something that makes the product whole. Yeah. So this is true, especially for smaller kits, like for Mika, for example. For GMK Mika, we have about 50 novelties kits in stock. For maybe a dozen sets, we have 10 or 12 international kits. And what happens is we have to buy certain kits out to get to MOQ. So that means we're buying as a percentage of extras, 200, 300% of that particular kit, where we might only buy 50% extras of the base kit, because that's all we can afford to do. And then customers will buy all the base kits because that's what covers most people, but then we'll be left with a numpad kit, or 5 numpad kits, or 15 international kits, and you can then they dribble out over the year. We did a count up just in international kits alone, and this was like November last year. We had over 60,000 euros worth at cost of international kits sat in the workshop, just not sold, that we will probably never sell more than another 5% of those, because the base kits are long gone. And we did try bundling stuff together, and all it did was generate complaints. There was a couple of keycap sets. I think we did it for Wasabi first. I think that was the first one. And we said we've got X number of base kits in stock, or we've got X number of base kits plus international kits in stock, and then we've got some international kits as well. And all the base kits sold out, none of the international kits sold, and then we had a load of base kits and base kits with international kits that were just sitting there, and we were constantly getting emails from people, I want to buy this keycap set, but I refuse to buy it with the international kit as well. And in the end, you can't even force that. There comes a point where you have to say, right, okay, well, the only way we're going to sell the majority of this and get some money back is to just take those international kits away from those base kits and sell them as base kits again. And then you still have the problem that you're left with the international kits. So even bundling stuff together doesn't always help, because you eventually hit a point where you go, right, we have to sell this product off the shelf to break even now, because we're so far into it, we're so deep into it. Something like I don't know the exact number, but the accountant did sit down with me at the end of our last financial year and said, and I think it was something like 80% of group buys, he calls them projects, 80% of projects had not broken even, they'd made a loss, and 20% of the remaining 20%, I think something like 5% had broken even and 15% had made a profit. And you are reliant on the 15% of profit to pay for the 80% of losses, and that makes it really, really hard. Like no one's getting rich selling keyboard stuff. No one's barely making a living selling keyboard stuff. It's insane. Leviosa. A problem with, yeah, we've talked about that. G-Tor is always doing promo. It's great. Yeah, G-Tor's a good guy. He's a nice guy as well. Malcolm Batiste says, hi Jay, just placed my order for some Gator on Orange switches. Didn't know there was a discount for you being live. Yeah, whenever I'm streaming, there's always some discount on. It won't always be as generous as the one today, though. I've already spent so much on already in prototypes. I think my bank hates me. Fair. I imagine most of those SKUs are old stock, things like your Alpine International kits. At what point do you knock them down to a $5 kit and see if it sells, if it gets some cash in, will clear shelf space? So the thing is, contractually, there's certain things that we can't sell at certain prices, and legally in the UK, you aren't supposed to sell anything at a loss, because that could impact other companies that can't do that. And there's anti-competitive laws at selling things at a loss. I think there's a lot of complexity around that. Basically, you have to be the market leader, and then you're not allowed to sell things at a loss. And I don't think we would ever be able to be seen as a market leader for keyboards. Like that's just so generic, is keyboards and keycaps. Amazon sells more keycap sets in a week than we sell in a year, because they have 1 million cheap keycap sets on there. So I don't think we'd ever be full foul of it. But there's also contractual stuff with like GMK, for example, where they might have clauses in contracts and things, and there might be clauses with other vendors that you can't sell cheaper than them because they were the vendor for Europe or for Germany or for China or wherever, and you have to have an agreed price. Or there's a million reasons why we can't just do that. Doing a sale and having a sale and saying, oh, we've got 20% off everything, it's not being exclusive to any particular product, so you don't fall foul of that rule then. But if you say, I'm going to sell this product, let's say I said, okay, all switches forevermore that we ever sell are always going to be 1 penny a switch, that would probably be something we'd get investigated for. Whether it would be illegal or not, I don't know. A lot of grey area, but I can imagine a lot of other vendors would have a lot of problems if I said that. Whereas if I said, oh, if every time you buy a keyboard you get half off your switches, no one's going to have a problem with that. So there's a lot of stuff in there. Botanical, I think, too. Yeah, Botanical, we did do that for. We had to take out again the bundle of base kits and international kits, because what do you know what happened with Botanical? Actually, we sold a lot of those sets at a time when international shipping to the US was really cheap. I think it worked out at like 12 quid, so it's about $15. Even that's cheaper than some US vendors domestic shipping. So people were buying from us, and then what would happen is they would get the delivery and then say, oh, we're sending it back because we don't want it. They'd only send back the international kit, and then we'd say, oh, we only got the international kit back, we'll refund you a portion of the overall order. And like, no, I sent the whole thing back. Prove that I didn't send the whole thing back. And if you don't refund me the whole thing, I'll just charge back. So we ended up with a load of Botanical international kits come back that way, and a whole raft of chargebacks because people were, they didn't want to buy the international kits, and they were basically holding us over a barrel to try and do it. And that happens a lot when you sell the kind of volume that we do. Like you kind of like, I don't think we sell particularly mass loads of any particular product, but across all the products we sell, we do sell a lot of stuff, and it becomes quite difficult to manage. But the thing is, it sounds scummy when I tell you the story, but from their side of it, they only wanted a part of a product. They didn't want everything. They were just trying to find a way to get what they wanted, and